All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic, and if you're new here, welcome. Well, I finally had to do it, and again, I didn't want to have to do it. I really don't enjoy dropping the ban hammer on anyone, but my hand was forced, and I had to do it. I had to ban Jesus from the comment section, because apparently some Christians got wind of my material, and they decided to show up, posting the usual judgments upon others, saying that they hope we find Jesus, which, we found him long ago. We just left him back there somewhere. And calling me a witch, which I'm not. But as expected, their judgments are very broad. They do not make distinctions between witches and ceremonial magicians or any other type of anything that isn't Christianity, because they lack discernment. When it comes to Christianity, they will make distinctions all day, however. Because calling a ceremonial magician a witch is like calling an evangelical a Catholic. They're not quite the same thing. In fact, a ceremonial magician is probably closer on the religious spectrum of Judeo-Christendom than it is to paganism. But when it comes to Christianity, it's black and white. They only have two umbrellas. It's either God or the devil, not realizing that they're both one and the same, or at least responsible for everything. If the Almighty created all, then he is responsible for all. That includes the bad, evil, wicked stuff too. And they don't really get this because they don't understand polarity, because they are trapped within it. So I had to add the words Jesus and Christ to the list of banned words in the comment section, because there's no way that the religious mobs cannot comment without bringing up at least one of those words. They can't help it. They have to do it. And so if I take away the Jesus, which wasn't the name anyway, but if I take that away, then the majority of their posts won't get through, or they just won't bother with it anyway. They love invoking that name, and removing their ability to do so is a huge deterrent from harassing me and my viewers. I had one of them say that they weren't here to push their religion on anyone. That's exactly why they were there. That's the only reason they were there, to sit in judgment, because that's what they do. That's the only thing that they do. And they'll bear false witness while they're doing it. They'll commit acts that Scripture forbids while they're condemning you. So I banned their favorite words from their favorite pastime, and hopefully that will be the end of it. We shall see. And speaking of Christians, it is the day after Father's Day, and I did speak with him yesterday. Many of you know my parents are very, very strict religious evangelical Christians who cannot help bringing up Jesus and God every chance they get, because that's all they put into their mind. What goes in has to come out. But he did pretty good yesterday. He only brought up the Bible one time. He brought up, for some reason, Proverbs 10:30, the righteous will never be uprooted. And then he switched gears and started talking about the rapture, that the rapture is going to happen soon. And for those of you who don't know, the word rapture doesn't even appear in Scripture, but it refers to God taking away the righteous right before the tribulations of the end times. And so I said to him, well, that sounds like the righteous will be uprooted. And you just said the righteous will never be uprooted, but now you're saying that they will be uprooted. And then he didn't want to talk about it after that. And like I said, that's the only Bible conversation that he brought up that we had, which is very good for him. I know he had to be trying not to. We had talked for over 2 hours, and that was only 5 minutes of the conversation. I don't want to give the impression that I was debating my old man on religion the entire call. That's not what happened. The conversation was pleasant. It's a good thing. Unlike the comments that I was getting here, which I still wonder why I was getting them. They must have found some of my work that they were passing around. I had checked the mentions, but I didn't find anything there. However, I did find this review made about 3 weeks ago, reviewing the first exercise I gave out on this channel.
One of the best teachers I've come across on YouTube is Frater X, Mind and Magick. I learned something from him many years ago that's such a simple exercise, but it's truly changed my life. Like, in hindsight, looking back on how this one thing has made such a huge difference. This is especially useful for addicts and compulsive thinking, but anytime a thought comes into your mind, bring yourself into the present moment and say, I accept that, or I reject that thought. Keep it simple, stupid. It's truly one of the most profound exercises I've adapted and adopted for my life. And you'll find if you stay consistent with it, that it will branch out an umbrella and trickle into every area of your life. So it will just help you live more in the present moment and critically think about the thoughts you have. And you'll come to realize how much you run on autopilot, how many thoughts have been programmed for you.
And I very much appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Yeah, the change your mind, change your life exercise, which I eventually named it because that's what it does, is very simple but very powerful. Because if everything originates from the mind, which we know it to do, then by taking control of the origin point and changing it to what you want to accept or reject, will in turn change everything else that follows from there. If everything begins in the mind and you change your mind, then everything in your life will change also. As above, so below. That's what it is. That's what we're doing here. And you do that by treating thoughts not as your own, because thoughts will masquerade as your own. But your mind is like a receiver. It picks up signals from other sources. Spirits can influence the mind. That's what they excel at. One cannot simply assume that every thought you're thinking originated from you. And so if someone's having a really bad time of things, like their entire life is jacked up, they're letting all the negative thoughts win, everything that's coming through their mind ends up in one big pile of bad. Well, they should begin sorting the thoughts coming through their mind and start separating them into good or bad, accept or reject. And I've had people argue with me over this, saying, well, that's just splitting them into duality, and duality's an illusion. And these are, say, people that say reality's an illusion, but you're stuck in reality whether you like it or not, so you might as well make the best of it. Well, it's the same with duality. It's the same with polarity. It's not going away anytime soon until you return to source. So you're going to have to learn to deal with it, illusion or not. And so by sorting your thoughts out and accepting the positive and rejecting the negative thoughts, you are filtering your reality. And understand that this isn't an overnight fix. It takes a while for things to manifest into your reality from mind. You are sowing the seeds for a harvest later. This is an exercise that does take many months sometimes to start seeing results. And so one must be diligent and disciplined in keeping it going. It's such a simple exercise, but until it becomes a habit from repetition, it will seem like a chore. And it can even drive you a little crazy. We're dealing with the mental realm here. But if you stick with it and it becomes a habit, those negative thoughts won't even try anymore. They won't bother you. You've already made a habit of only accepting positive thoughts. And they don't bother anymore because they don't originate from you. The negative influences and spirits have given up. So it's an exercise I still recommend, especially if your life is having a lot of difficulty, such as our sour grapes guy. You may recall I recently made a video addressing the problems he's been having, but instead of waiting around to watch it, he chose the sour grapes and peaced out on us. Yeah, our guy never even got to watch the video I made for him addressing his issues. When I spoke with him on the Patreon page, I said, hey, the next 2 videos uncannily address the issues you've been having, so make sure you watch the next 2, and he only watched 1 before canceling and leaving. Not only did he leave, he also messaged me requesting that I take down his testimonials that he left on my programs and website. This is like one of the first ones saying that this program changed my life, but now his life's having problems. What happened? And before I could even respond to him, he just blocked me. So I never even got to return saying anything to him. So hopefully one day he will listen to this video so that he knows I did my best to try to help him. So I removed the testimonial and replaced it with a more recent testimonial off of the latest Amulets, Talismans, and Charms program. which will be offered at a discount through the links in this video and description only. Now, understand that this is a longtime supporter of my channel and my Patreon and has been around for a long time who has done this. The sour grapes were too tasty and too tempting. He had to have them, and to resist the bittersweet flavor of them is not easy. I am of the opinion that he has a self-sabotaging mechanism somewhere in his mindset. You don't just hang around for years upon years and give your support and give testimonials saying that the programs have changed your life, only to do a complete 180, write a lengthy post about all the problems you've been having, and then the very moment I go to help you with them, before I could even do so, you bounce. Timing like that is one of the characteristics of self-sabotage. It is notorious for keeping people from winning by getting them to quit right before they do. So if he's listening, I hope that he takes what I say to heart and is able to turn things back around when things were going better for him by returning to the start with the change your mind, change your life exercise. If you want your life to be positive, you have to start planting positive seeds. The seeds of sour grapes only produce sour grapes. You don't want to go through life bitter and angry, because that's what you will harvest with sour grapes. You reap what you sow. If you get all upset and angry because magic isn't working the way you wanted it to, and you slam your fist down on a table saying it's all bull, well, that emotion is going to make an impression on the subconscious, and good luck getting anything to work now, because you just programmed yourself for your magic not to work. The man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both right. But sometimes I think people don't understand what that really means. It means that you set the rules based upon your beliefs and your perspectives. Just like I set the rules by banning Jesus from the comments section, I set the filter to filter that out so that it won't cause any problems. Well, it's the same thing with our minds and the thoughts that we have. What are you going to allow in your life by allowing in the thoughts that you entertain? You see how I tie it all together with a nice ribbon and bow on it? You may have thought that the different chapters of this video had nothing to do with each other, but they do. I always bring it back around. Just as banning certain words from the comments section will filter out entire comments containing those words, so too will filtering out the negative thoughts you have prevent negative occurrences, events, or circumstances from manifesting into your life. Everything begins in the mind, and so if you change your mind, you'll change your life. I want to thank you for watching and invite you to join us over at Patreon for early access to more content like this, as well as bonus material. I appreciate all your love and support, and I'll see you next time. Take care.